She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy gazpacho.
Sports can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Advice, did you know that Arsenal died?
He's got me buzzing.
Up the topies. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm gonna comment on that. Boys, we have a massive weekend or week coming up where the U.S. men's national team roster for the Nations League will be announced. Let's get into a little U.S. men's national team corner here. Let's start where we always start. Mr. Christian Pulisic, the man in Milan, started at the number 10 this weekend, and he looked damn good. He was piecing together so much, had so many dribbles, decisive passes. His cross that was headed by Morata got deflected by the keeper or the defender, I believe, and then Tijani Reinders with the finish on that one. So was directly involved in that goal. I mean, he is on fire, was playing at the 10 and has been playing at the 10 a decent amount for Milan. Still has been more productive at that right wing spot. But, I mean, we saw Malik Tillman, and certainly this weekend for PSV, he struggled a lot against Ajax. He was in a bit of a more deep line playmaker role there, but he hasn't looked great. Brendan Aronson looks great for Leeds, but he still hasn't shown for the U.S. Is it time to maybe put Pulisic at the 10 for the U.S., or we just got to rock with him on the wing because he's also looked absurd there? Nick?
No way can we put him at the 10. Who's taking that left spot? we don't have the wingers. Like, he has to be there. I think all in all, it's still his preferred position, even though obviously the system at Milan, he's thriving in that 10 role. But, you know, McKennie's looked good advanced. Why not put McKennie up? And we have more depth in the midfield options. I'd be okay with that. But no, if you're putting him in the 10, you're just creating another hole in the squad. And let's not do that. Let's keep him at the left. It's worked. He's our best player there.
Yeah, our winger depth is shoddy at best. I will say I love the McKennie shout. McKennie with a goal this weekend against Parma, and Weah said he will not be outdone. Speaking of the winger depth, good to have him back. He was injured last window. He gets a goal and an assist. So the Juventus duo kind of popping off here. And Tim Weah's looked awfully dangerous. He's actually been on that left wing. I mean, Weston McKennie has been playing at that 10 as well and just creating chance after chance, headers. I mean, them as a duo have looked very good when I've been watching the Juventus games here. Mike, do you think McKennie at the 10 is maybe the answer right now? Because it doesn't seem like we do have a solid answer with Gio Reyna out, and really everybody else we've tried just hasn't looked that great.
Yeah, I think it's worth a shot. I think our deep-lying midfielders are deeper anyway. We have more options there. We always struggle with someone who has attacking prowess in the midfield. I mean, Brendan Aronson looked shocking there last window. He doesn't have that finesse. McKennie's not really a finesse player either, but he makes those runs, which is really great when we have service coming from the wings. And he's pretty decent in the air. So I think it's worth, at the very least, a shot. We haven't seen it really ever. I mean, he's played an advanced midfield role for us, but not like a true 10. I'd love to try it out.
I will say he's not like a creative 10. One thing I will say though is that no matter what, Poch has talked a lot about how we're not going to have like one system. We're going to adapt to like what our strengths are. And if we're talking about just pure strengths, McKennie's easily one of our top 11 players and probably much higher than that. So I think whether it's a deep lying role, whether it's at the more advanced role of the 10, if you play him to his strengths, I think that can be. Yeah, that we need to adapt so that he can play to the best of his abilities, because he's really a game changer there, and his mentality kind of helps the rest of the team thrive too. So, like Trey said, it's his deep runs, it's being in the air, it's playing with passion. If you're gonna play him at a 10, don't dick around and tell him to go create and pick out passes. That's not his game. Let him do what he does best, and figure out the rest of the squad to make sure that everything is covered up. Whether it's more creation from the wings like Pulisic, which he's more than capable of doing, a little bit of coverage, maybe two midfielders stay back instead of one. Whatever it is, this guy belongs in our starting 11 at his best.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the way Thiago Motta is using him at Juventus is almost kind of perfect to what you would want to see with the US, is he does somewhat float out wide at times to kind of help connect, and then he makes those runs into the box with, I mean, that's how he scored his goal. He got that header and had so many runs in the box where he just is able to create by running through and making runs in behind, and he just is an aerial presence. He can bring the ball down and create from that. So I think that is kind of what you'd want to see, and obviously you have a Pulisic that likes to cut in. You have other players that like to cut in from the wing and help out, and certainly both McKennie and Weah coming back will help out the US quite a bit from a non-inspiring offensive performance. And obviously Tyler Adams being back, Musa, you can have him in the midfield behind McKennie. But speaking of some of the other players that might be in this camp or not in this camp, we go to the championship where we had Brendan Aronson with a goal, Haji Wright with a goal and an assist, and the big headline, Josh Sargent, who has been great in the championship, not the greatest so far for the US, is going to have surgery on a groin injury. He'll be out 8 weeks, boys. I mean, Flo Balogun is recovering better than expected from his collarbone, but this really means that the only option we have that you would previously have said is one of the top options is now Pepi. Nick, I know you're not the biggest Pepi lover here, but Sargent being out 8 weeks didn't look great for the US anyways. How much has this changed for the US? Was Sargent going to play that much? Was it going to be Pepi anyways? Or is this a pretty big blow for the US here?
Look, it doesn't change much because no one right now is taking. There's been opportunity for everyone, and no one's taking it when it comes to wearing the red, white, and blue. So it doesn't change the fact that we don't have a bona fide starting 9. I think we have 1, maybe even 2 or 3 guys with the talent to be that, but none of them have grabbed a hold of it. I think it changes a lot for Sargent though, and how I view him, and probably more importantly, how Poch views him. I mean, this is going to be Poch's second window, arguably like his first real one after the injury crisis that they saw. And if Pepi goes out and has good games, if you're Poch, how are you looking at a Sargent who's, missing 3 months at a time every year? Like, how can you find form like that? How can you be consistently going to camps like that? I think it's going to move him down the pecking order quite a bit, and it sucks because I like the player. But at this point, like, I don't care if you score championship goals, you got to show up for the team, and unfortunately, he can't.
Yeah. Mike, do you think Haji Wright has been a bit overlooked at this point for a striker? Because, I mean, if you're thinking of your Pepi, you're saying, okay, if you're not grabbing this opportunity by the neck right now, it's like Balogun out, Sargent out. Those are the 2 people you're really competing with. It's Brandon Vasquez and Haji Wright, who's been really not given a chance other than at left wing, which, I mean, you're never going to break in there with Pulisic. So should Haji be given that chance at striker? Should he be competing with Pepi? Do you think it should just be Pepi and Brandon Vasquez?
I don't see why not. I mean, can't remember the last time he's actually played striker for the US. Maybe it's like the 22 World Cup against Netherlands.
He scored.
He's kind of forgotten as a striker. We even when we had big injury crisis, he was like one of the last dudes off the bench in the Copa America. He didn't feature at all, even though he had the heroics in the Nations League. I don't know what he has to do to get a starting spot or to even get a chance up top. I don't see why not. I mean, Pepi's fine. He's scoring goals finally for PSV, but the competition drop-off between the Eredivisie and Championship, probably not that great. I mean, if you're scoring goals in one, you could probably be scoring goals in the other. Why wouldn't you give him a shot? He's got the profile for it. He's got the size. He's good in the air. He's rapid. He links up well. He's got pretty much everything you're looking for profile-wise. You have to start him in the spot and see what he can offer. We haven't seen it in years.
I can't really remember a bad performance by Haji either. I've never seen him go, man, that was a really bad Haji performance. I mean, plenty of those with Pepi where he's just not been able to hold up anything or do anything. The last time we saw Haji, he got the assist on Pepi's goal. So, I mean, he's just kind of been producing for the US and just overlooked because I think he's been a bit typecast into that left wing role, which makes it a bit harder for him to get on the field. But Nick, what do you think? Should Haji be given that shout, or I mean, Pepi finally in good club form? Do you just fully give him this run out?
I think you give Pepi the first star, and I think you give Haji the second. I agree with everything Mike said. Something we did. He can pick out a pass too. Haji, like he's got good vision. He really does a lot well. Yeah. So I guess I don't totally know either. It could just be like in training, you see the guy stacked up, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just not there. Maybe it's something off the ball that we're not as in tune with. But I agree. I think he's been at the very least solid and at his best, like game changing every time he's played for the U.S. So. I would love to give him a shout, especially with Sargent out, especially with Ballo out. And again, just somebody take this job. Love of God.
Please, somebody take the job. We have applicants. We have all these people. We're giving job offers like crazy. Nobody's doing it.
I will say I feel bad for Sargent. I mean, he was fucking awful, obviously, last camp, but so was everybody. And he is a service-oriented striker. He's not a creator. So how much can I really ding him for that when he wasn't getting anything, especially the second game when it's so strapped, you don't even have Pulisic. It's not a very fair shout. And now he's injured again, like he always is when he has an opportunity to shine. You do have to feel for the guy.
Yeah. I mean, certainly feel bad for him. It's kind of been the story of his career so far is every time there is an opportunity for him and he's in good form, there's some type of injury that takes him away from that opportunity. Speaking of injuries and being taken away, Tyler Adams made his return from a long injury bug of hamstring, back surgery, everything. Comes back for Bournemouth. Is now the third week he's been back. This time getting a long run out against Manchester City. Got an important yellow card to break up a counterattack, and overall just looked very solid, looked very quick, agile. What you want to see when somebody's coming back from injury, not looking like he's changed at all. And of course, Jedi Robinson also coming back with a game-winning assist for Fulham. They got 2 goals in stoppage time versus Brentford. Brentford cannot get away with any early lead lasting. But 2 big parts of the U.S. coming back here, which always leads the last question here of our U.S. men's national team corner. Up against Jamaica, first in Kingston, then we come back to, I believe, St. Louis in the U.S. Pochettino, what is this team going to look like? Who do you want to see from last camp stick around? And how much change do you want to see? We have Johnny Cardoso back. You have Tyler Adams back. You have Tim Weah, Weston McKennie. I mean, there's a real just shit ton of different players. You're going to have Pulisic back. He wasn't there for the Mexico game. How much does this change, and who do you want to see that was in last camp and maybe earned a little bit more time in camp? Mike?
Tyler Adams has to start if he's ready to go. I mean, don't rush him back. Don't make him play 90 minutes, obviously, but he's our most game-changing midfielder in the deep-lying role. Every time he plays, the intensity's always good when he's on the field, so I'd feature him for sure. Tim Weah and Weston get right back into the team. Tim Weah's got to put in a good performance, still stained from that bullshit he pulled in Copa for sure, but I think he's easily the best winger, not named Pulisic, in the complete roster. And then other than that, I think we don't see any of the midfielders who started that last camp. Aiden, Brendan, Gianluca, none of those guys earned it. Maybe some of them make the bench, but no major minutes for any of those guys, please.
Yeah. Nick, it does seem harsh for Brendan Aronson, who just continues scoring, getting assists for Leeds. But as Mike said, he looked awful against Mexico. It didn't look great last camp. So is it just back to being a super sub for him again before we start? Or is there any way for him to fit into this team now with Pulisic and Weah and McKennie all back here?
I'm all for guys being given a shot. I'm all for guys, who have done well to come in and really get a long, hard look, get a start even. He got that already, and it looked shit. So if you don't grab the opportunity, then that's on you. We're not just going to feed you opportunities left and right, brother. You gotta, once you earn it, you gotta take it, and he didn't take it. So yeah, let him be a super sub. I don't care. He can he can try and earn an opportunity in the last 20 minutes. And if he does well, then maybe he gets a start down the road. But more than anything, what I'm looking for in this camp is Poch, we've talked a lot about how we have a lot of talent. Let's get the most talented players in that we possibly can of the people available. And let's see if Poch can use them correctly. Because if he can, I think a lot of people have been saying, and I have been leaning towards the opinion of, we can be a pretty good team. And if he can't, it's either Poch is the wrong guy, which based on the history of his career, I would argue is probably not the case, or we're overrating our talent, which can also be a strong argument as well. So I want to see if he can use the guys to the best of their ability. I want to see all the big boys at this camp, and want to see most of the big boys starting, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, we definitely want to see all the big names starting here. Mike, even with those big names starting, we've seen it in World Cup qualifiers. We've seen it even just last camp. Obviously, 19 players injured. Not exactly what you want to see, but struggles away in CONCACAF. I mean, they're hand in hand with the U.S. men's national team. You go to Kingston first in a 2-leg game, so you have the chance to come home and have some type of response, but how much trust do you really have in this U.S. squad, this group of players, to get something done in Kingston? I mean, a significant amount of talent on Jamaica, you'd still give the edge to the Americans, and I just think that road game is a bit scary for me right now.
Yeah, it is scary. I mean, the pitch is going to be what it is. It's not going to be good playing conditions. We have to assume that. Backline has to be sharp. No bullshit in the back with loose balls. That's still not going to be perfect. Whatever the center back pairing is, Chris Richards probably won't be around, not healthy. Tim Ream, CCV, both back. Yeah, not ideal, but they have to be good enough, and they can't be giving away loose counters. That's where Jamaica hurts us for sure. With most of these starters back, quality is definitely there. Think we could score goals. I fully expect a good result in both legs. Big double standard going back to players from last camp that we want to see get another shot. I mentioned Brendan was bad. Malik Tillman was terrible, but I would like to see him get another shot. He was so poor, and that's a player that we keep harping on, his ability. If he does get another shot, that's someone who really needs to take it by the horns and run with it and get some goal contributions or at least look good.
Yeah, I mean, I think both him and Brendan Aronson have a lot to gain and a lot to lose, because at this point, they've both done very well at club, but they've both also done pretty poor for the U.S. men's national team at least at a starting capacity. So
no statement for performances, no.
Yeah, it needs to be proven at the national team.
Not any good statements.
No.
Not any good statements. Maybe statements, but
Sure.
Not good ones. But we will certainly see the U.S. men's national team roster released sometime a little bit later. The biggest American news that will come out this week, as I said at the start. Of course, I know everybody will be waiting day and night for that and nothing else.